Well, it's official. We're all cheering for Canada's team now. Let's go Stars.
Well, Flames fans are probably pretty down in the dumps right now because the Oilers managed to get past the Canucks, who decided that, games 5, 6, and 7 of the quarterfinals were the 3 games that they should just completely stop knowing how to play hockey in,
Yeah, it's pretty
allowing the
lopsided.
Oilers to get through.
Yeah, so it hurt our chances or killed our chances of upgrading a pick
Yeah.
in that Lindholm trade, but here's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough series to watch. I mean, I despise both teams. I just despise one more. Is that how you describe it?
That's pretty
I,
much it. And I saw so many people jumping on the bandwagon for the Canucks, and I can't grasp it. It's like, do I want the Oilers to lose slightly more? Yes, but that's not going to make me cheer for the Canucks. Like I like a meteorite would probably be the best option.
I found it easier just to cheer for hits.
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
cheered for those.
Yeah,
I didn't really get excited for goals.
yeah,
Yeah, I was kind of watching and wondering what's going to happen between the plays or,
yeah.
after the whistle, things like that. Other than that, I couldn't care less. But
Honestly,
yeah,
I'm pretty pumped that Dallas got through because I think Dallas is the team that would have has the best chance to roll over Edmonton and probably has the best chance to roll over Vancouver. Were they able to get by Edmonton? But I mean, who knows? Playoffs can be random, all that type of stuff. I just think
yeah.
Dallas is way deeper than the Oilers. So
Well, they are right. They're the complete package. Goaltending aside, which I mean that's completely lopsided.
yeah, did you watch Game
Odd and
7?
juicy piece. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So maybe this is a hot take or a weird thing to say, but I watched Game 7 and I watched Skinner like pretty hard, and I don't think I've ever actually seen a goaltender like through 2.5 periods let in 0 goals and look that lost. And I mean, I've watched the Flames for the last 30 some odd years, and that's a lot of goalies looking lost. And I've never
Yeah.
like, if Vancouver were to just test him, they would have scored several more goals, but they just wouldn't test him. He was out of position. He was completely lost. He didn't know where the puck was. And Vancouver, credit to the Oilers defense. I found they were actually shockingly good at kind of limiting the chances and swarming Vancouver's players in the offensive zone. But
Yeah, the shot clock was pretty lopsided too, right? And you got,
yeah.
by midway through the second, what did Vancouver have, like 11 shots?
Yeah, I think they only had 2 shots through the first period. Yeah.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's not going to win you a Game 7.
No. Anyways, I figured because nobody really wants to talk about the playoffs right now, as far as Flames land is concerned, nobody wants to talk about the Oilers anymore. I put up a prompt in our Facebook and in our Reddit yesterday asking people to give us some mock trades that we'll react to. I'm excited to do this. There's some pretty decent ones. I just wanted to start off with one thing our buddy Richard said, which isn't even a mock trade, but it's kind of an it leads into a lot of the mock trades that we got. But this is from Richard Thorpe on Flames Hub on Facebook, which is a page that we all use. Um, Everybody should hop on there and join up. It's a good place to talk Flames. But he says, what's the possibility of using our 28th pick and Markstrom to move up in the draft? And who are potential trade partners? And what pick could we move up to? And honestly, I think that is our best option if we are looking to move up. I do think that packaging Markstrom with that 28th overall pick, which is what the Vancouver pick is now, would be our best shot at moving up in the draft. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't think. I mean, I'd like to say that we're going to get another top 10 pick, but if we do that, I could see it maybe moving up to number 10 max, but probably not more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a possibility. I suppose it all depends on what we could potentially get back as well. If we're going to trade our number one goalie, do we make sure that we get another one back in that same deal, or do we just go straight for the pick and just kind of leave it alone at that point?
I think that there's a chance we could do either, and we'll get into it because there's a couple of decent trade offers that people have brought up here that we'll get into. But I think either way, like there's some relatively okay, 1A/1B vets who are free agents that you could go out and get.
Mm-hmm.
But I think most of the teams who are looking for goalies already have a goalie that is a 1B, let's say, or even a 1A, but isn't a starter, and they're looking for a bona fide starter, which is why they would want Markstrom. I look at, Allen in New Jersey, or, Vejmelka or Ingram in Utah, I guess is what it's called now.
I think revisiting the Markstrom to Jersey conversation might be worthwhile, because I think it would be pretty cool to have back-to-back picks in the first round.
I think so too. I know our buddy Matt was saying, like, New Jersey said that they want to roll with Allen as a 1A and somebody else as a 1B, but I kind of feel like that's just Tom Fitzgerald trying to say he's not interested, so to calm the media storm. I think how badly New Jersey's goaltending let them down this year, even though Allen looked all right after they acquired him, I think that they're probably looking like a lot of people had them in the Final Four this year, and they didn't even make the playoffs. And I think part of that's Jack Hughes going down, who's always down, and Hamilton going down, and Fahavary was down for a bit. I think there was a couple defensemen who were down for a bit, and their goaltenders just sucked all year. So,
yeah, and you're right. Allen did look okay, but I mean, okay isn't going to win you championships, right?
And Allen he's a good goalie, but he's not a great goalie. He's a good goalie for a rebuilding team. He played for Montreal the last couple of years. That's kind of the team that we're going to become over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I would slot him no higher than a 1B personally.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd be okay as a 1A, like you said, on a rebuilding team where it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You're more looking to kind of drop down in the standings a little bit to draft better for a season or two. It makes sense to roll with a guy like that. But I mean, I can't see a team keeping him as their number one guy. That just, to me, doesn't make sense if you're trying to win games.
Exactly. And I think he's a perfect candidate for, to mentor Wolf a little bit, but also to let Wolf have many stretches of games, but still be good when it comes to taking over for Wolf when Wolf needs some games off, right? So I'm looking at whether it's a 41-41 split or a, 38-44, whatever it is, split, something like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would be okay with Allen playing 45 games for the Flames next year.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let's get into some of these interesting mock trades. Most of them were mock trades. Let's just start with this one. Solutions number 43 or 4939 on Reddit says Markstrom 25% retained and our 41st overall pick to New Jersey for the 10th overall pick. And he's saying draft Tej and Berkeley back to back, which would be great if both of them are available, but I highly doubt that at 9 and 10.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I don't think that Markstrom and a second round pick, a middle second round pick is going to do it. I think that's what 41st overall would be. A mid to late second round pick. I don't think that's going to do it for the 10th overall pick. If you're doing that, I think you're going to have to trade Markstrom, probably 25% retained, and the 28th overall pick for the 10th. And if that's even a thing, and that's to New Jersey, kind of what we were talking about before. I like the idea.
Yeah, and the idea is good. When it comes to retaining salary from Markstrom, I mean, we've got 2 more years. Yeah, 2 more years at 6 mil. I mean, why not just go the full 50%? And if it's gonna help, and if we can actually do the second round pick with 50%, do it. I mean,
Yeah, and
we've got plenty of cap space. We have room. So I mean, now's not the time to start worrying about money. It's only two more years, and that's kind of hopefully the tail end of the retool, and we can
yeah,
start worrying about cap at that point.
and that's kind
But
of what all the
I guess it would
comments
be
under
four
here
years,
say.
but yeah,
Yeah, everyone's saying would happily do it for 50% retained. This is a we name a street after Conroy trade.
I mean, it's not that good.
It's pretty good though. Yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
not that
yeah,
good.
it's good, but yeah,
Um,
if he can do it with a second, then yeah, okay. I would respect Craig even more than I do at the moment.
yeah. Um, and there's a bunch of these. Like this guy says, Markstrom 50% retained, and a fourth round pick to New Jersey for Allen, and the 10th overall. Again, basically the
Oh,
same scenario. I don't think the fourth would do it. I think you'd have to do the late first at the very least. This guy saying what are people's thoughts of trading cat. This is Andrew G3 on Reddit is saying what are people's thoughts on trying to trade Kadri. I know he's the heart of our team this year. It would be hard to see him leave, but his value right now is probably the highest it'll be in the 7 years he signed for. And he said he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild, although he has said he wants to be here. He
I
said, yeah, he said
I
Philly and
I
Ottawa. There's a couple teams there that he
yeah,
mentioned.
I think when it comes to Kadri, I mean, he's absolutely right. Obviously, his stock is as high as it's potentially ever going to be. Um, I think it's a bold move. He's got a full no move, so obviously he's going to have to agree to that.
Yeah, which is why I think Ottawa's probably a no-go. He probably wouldn't want to go to Ottawa. Philly, I
Mhm.
could maybe see. And honestly, like Kadri, the way Kadri plays, or the way that um, the league perceives that Kadri plays, because the league perceives still that Kadri is an agitator, which he has kind of stopped since he came to Calgary. He's still, a relatively skilled, second line forward on most teams, but he kind of stopped the whole agitating thing. But a lot of
Mhm.
teams think that he is an agitator still. And Philly loves those types of guys. And I believe they're short on centers, and Torts would love that type of player. So I think that's a great fit. And I've heard they're trying to bring Mitchkov over, and if they do, they're gonna try to go more competitive than rebuild, like they have the last few years. They're gonna try and exit the rebuild and start with actually being competitive. And adding Kadri to that team would probably help with that. And if I no, I would do it if the deal was right and if he was willing to do that.
Yeah, the only weird thing I would think when it comes to Philly is just how old they are already. I feel like, I mean, I don't know if they've had the conversation internally, but I feel like their time to start getting younger is now. Um, I mean, I think the average age on Philly right now has got to be like 28. Like
I
it's
mean, they've gotten rid of a lot of their older guys. Really, I think the only older guy that's on their team right now is Couturier. I think there's
well, they have
probably another one or
Atkinson.
two I can't think of, but
They have,
they've done a lot of
eh,
drafting and trading for younger players recently. So
hmm,
um, I think they're relatively young now. And another thing that this guy mentions here is maybe they'd be interested in a Markstrom Kadri package. And I was thinking, like, they don't have Carter Hart anymore for the same reason we don't have Dubé. Um, they did bring over a goalie from Russia this year. I can't remember his name. He looked all right. Sam Urson has been fine for them, but again, if they're going to go full competitive mode, maybe Markstrom and Kadri would be good for them. I'd try and do it. I just don't really see
mhm.
them going all in like that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really see them being a team for it. They've got 8 guys that are 30 or above on their roster.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they got Cam Atkinson. He's
Oh, right.
34. Um, yeah, Ryan Johansson, 31.
Oh,
Garnet Hathaway, 32. Yeah, I mean, you go up and down their lineup, and it's all age.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think Ryan Johansson. I think they traded for Ryan Johansson. I can't remember what the deal was,
Mhm.
but I think they were getting young assets in that deal in order to take Johansson.
Right. That could be. Yeah. So if you look at their forward core, their average age is 27.8 and their defense is 28.6.
Okay.
So that's why I mean, it'd be great if we could find a trade partner in that, but I just feel like they're going to have to start getting younger. They're going to get left behind if they don't.
Fair enough. I mean, they had already started. I'm not sure if that's you
Yeah.
know. Let's move on here. I do think I would love to do that, Andrew, if we
Mhm.
could. Might be a little bit hard. This guy Rob Hope says Kadri 25% retained to Colorado for Middlestat, and I really like this one. Um, Casey Middlestat is a younger center. He can play with the wing. He mostly plays center. He's kind of um, reaching that age where he's You know, a lot of people have him pegged for a breakout last year, like this past year. So he's kind of reaching that age where Conroy wants that kind of player. And Colorado wants Kadri, but they don't want him at the 7 mil that he's making. And I think 25% is like just over $1.5 million. And I feel like Kadri, even though he's older, I still feel like Colorado would love to have Kadri as their 2C at what would that be, like 5.75. That feels like a really, really good number for Kadri, and they would probably love that. And I would love to have a young player like Middlestat, who's actually, I believe, a pending RFA this year. So we'd have to sign him. But I mean, it's the same thing that happened with Sharon Govich last year, and I'm okay with that.
I mean, it worked out.
Yeah.
It was pretty unknown, especially after the first couple of weeks. It was kind of like, hell. But I tell you what, I mean, obviously, he turned into be something pretty special, at least last season. I hope he can continue that forward momentum.
I agree. Do you like that? Do you like the Middlestat thing?
I don't mind it. I just don't know how much of an appetite Colorado's going to have to grab Kadri, right? I mean, even at 25%.
I feel like it was the term for them and not so much the 7 mil.
I mean, it could very well, right?
Yeah.
I
like it.
That's 7 years, and there's 5 years left in it?
Yeah. And I don't think that's far off from being a deal. Maybe you'd have to hold a little bit more, and holding that much salary for 5 more years isn't ideal, but it's also not the worst. You know what I mean? Maybe if you up that 25 to 35, maybe they do that.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say. They've also, I was reading the other day that they've got to hold back, I think it's like $13 million, because both Landeskog and Nichushkin are going to be on LTIR, but they're supposed to be coming back at some point next year. So they've got to keep, like, they can't use that because they're going to have to activate those two guys, right?
Right.
So we'll see. This one's really interesting. So for anyone who doesn't know, Marty Necas from the Carolina Hurricanes is a pending restricted free agent. Over the past couple of years, I think he's averaged about 60 points. He's quite young. I think he's like 23 or 24 or something like that. He's a fine player. He's not my favorite player. He's not even my favorite restricted free agent on the Hurricanes, but I've heard that they're shopping him. Snow Shredder on Reddit is saying Necas for Honzek and our 28th overall pick from Vancouver. I'm not the biggest fan of giving up on Honzek quite yet. I'm not the biggest fan of them picking Honzek in the first place, but it's hard for me to give up on a guy who's just had one injury that kind of derailed his only season that we've really seen from him so far. I like the framework of this deal, though. Maybe not Honzek, maybe Schwint, or you might have to add something if it's Schwint, or like, someone who's in the AHL, like maybe Stromgren or somebody like that,
Yeah, that's interesting.
I do that.
I think it's a bit early to be giving up on Honzek. So I do like your Schwint idea. I definitely thought he would be producing a lot more than he has. Like right from the get-go, I was kind of excited to get him in that trade.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind throwing Schwint in there, but I do think that you'd have to move, Schwint and the first round pick, the 28th overall pick, and probably another like third or fourth round pick or something like that.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't hate it. I like the framework of the deal, and I like the idea. And it's interesting that you put Hanzek there. Very interesting. That's a really good idea in theory, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just maybe
So,
work around the edges on that one.
so just a correction for you. He's had one season that was uh, over over 60. It's 71 in the 22-23 campaign for points. And the highest after that was 53.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. 50, like he averaged 60 over the last couple years, around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This one's funny. Kevin Rooney for McDavid and 2 firsts. Yeah, let's do it.
Boom.
Um,
We don't have the cap. That's a shame. Son of a bitch.
socially restrained
Uh-huh.
here on Reddit says Markstrom 25% and our 84th overall pick to LA for their 21st overall pick and Arthur Kaliev. I really, really like that. I love
Oh,
that.
I don't know much about the player at all.
He is a winger. He's a pretty much a pure shooter. A lot of people liken him to Kuznetsov, kind of.
Right.
He's been completely buried. He often is scratched because LA is so deep on the wings. But when he does play, he's like a third or fourth liner that gets on the first power play, then scores on the first power play. And
Interesting.
he's the type of player that I like as kind of as a long shot, along with getting a first round pick for Markstrom. And you know, LA wants somebody like Markstrom, right? They tried to get Allmark, and he nixed the trade there. So you know they're after a goalie. I
Right.
know they re-signed Riddick, but really,
I love it. I've been a big Riddick fan since he since he started lacing him up for the Flames. Um, I don't know if he's the guy you want to lay your season down on, though.
no, I mean he's a perfectly fine tandem goalie, I think. But I, I mean, you're like what you said, probably not the kind of guy you want to be resting all your hopes on, especially when
Yeah.
you're trying to win, right?
Can you repeat what that idea was? Like, what's the details on that trade concept?
Markstrom 25% retained, and our 84th overall pick for Kaliev and their 21st overall pick.
Hmm. Okay. I don't
I
mind it.
remember
I mean,
watching Kaliev in the World Juniors a couple years ago, and he was fucking exciting. Like, as much as I hate saying that about the Americans on the ice on a tournament like that, he was really exciting in that tournament. Um,
he was playing for the States.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, this one is Markstrom straight up to Carolina for Martin Nietzsche's, kind of a B prospect. I don't know how to say this guy's name. Hemo Salmi, and a draft pick. I looked up this guy earlier. He's a 21-year-old, relatively small defenseman who hasn't really shown a whole lot of growth yet, but he is only 21. Um, I mean,
Yes,
I'd
young for a
probably do
defender.
Markstrom for Nietzsche straight up, to be honest. I don't. Yes, I would do this instantly.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Um, but I don't think that they would need to be adding Salmi or whatever like that. I feel like Markstrom for Nietzsche and maybe like a late pick, but I like that idea too. That's from Kilo 9 on Reddit as well.
Nice.
Negative Match says take the 28th overall and 9th and trade it to Montreal for the 5th.
Jesus.
What do you think of that? I mean, I do think that that's something that they could do. Probably that's probably a relatively fair value. I don't know if it would be worth it though. What do you think?
I don't think it's worth it personally. I think once you get the first player off the board, I think 2 through 12 is a crapshoot.
In this draft, I kind of agree with you. I feel like at one point this year, Berkeley Catton was second overall consensus. At other times, Steve Buium was.
Yeah.
And both of those guys are now rated, 7th to 12th. It's you're going to get a really good player at 9th, and I don't think it's going to be all that much worse, if worse at all, than the player you get at 5th. I think a lot of people are just so concentrated on getting a Ginla. This guy wants Buium, Steve Buium, who I think is going to be a great defenseman. But I don't think it's worth giving an extra first round pick. Now, if you're doing the 9th overall pick and like a third rounder or something like that, I consider that. This one's a little.
What about Markstrom in the 28th?
Yep. Yeah, I'd do that. I don't know if Montreal would. I don't know why they would.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of want to hang on to that 9th, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too. Let's see. Markstrom and Kadri for Freddie Anderson, Nietzsche, and future considerations. I don't think that's fair for us, honestly.
No,
that's from
I don't either.
Six Sticks. I don't think that's fair for us. I think they'd need to add some picks or something there. I don't particularly want Freddie Anderson anyways. Like he was good this year, but we don't need an aging goalie. So here's a question for you from Negative Match. This one's a hot take question. Is Peter's Drive-In in Calgary still what it once was? And does it still have the same hype as it used to have? Now, when I was a teenager, we used to take road trips to Calgary all the time. And sometimes we'd go stop at it. Like we'd make a purposeful stop at Peter's Drive-In for a milkshake and a burger. And it was really good. I have no idea. I haven't been there since like 2011, but
I feel like you've been there since I've been there last.
Yeah, fair enough. I figured you might have been there just because you live in Calgary and I don't, but
oh yeah, I mean I drive past it a lot. It's still busy. I don't think it still has the same flair though, to be honest. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Still
you can
busy.
Still smell it as you drive down 16th Ave. You can still smell it as as it's wafting out. But I don't know. They to me they really went downhill about 10 years ago.
Fair enough.
But that's just my personal opinion. Like I said, they're still attracting a crowd in the warmer days. Anyways, it's a standing room only on the outside, and it kind of caught me off guard there. Like I haven't thought about Peter's Drive-In in a decade.
Yeah, I hadn't either. I was going to skip that question, but I read it and I was like, you know what? I'm actually kind of curious.
I'll give it a shot and I'll report back. It might take some time though before I build up the courage.
All right, let's move on to some Facebook ones. Jason Woodman. This one's interesting. And I don't know if Huberdeau would go for it. Um, Montreal may, but I'm not sure if Huberdeau would. Huberdeau and Vancouver's first to Montreal for Kirby Dach and Montreal's third.
Like third round.
Third round pick, yeah. So it would be Vancouver's pick that we got the 28th overall pick for, and Huberdeau. So we'd be paying to get rid of Huberdeau, but we'd also get Dach back, who's a relatively injury prone young center with a ton of upside.
Yeah.
I just don't think. I mean, Montreal might think about that, but first of all, if Huberdeau thinks the pressure in Calgary is too much, I don't know how Montreal's going to do. And I seem to remember him talking about Montreal before and being like, I'm not sure if I'd even want to play there.
Yeah. I mean,
I like the idea here, though.
Everybody just assumes that he would go there just being French Canadian, but
yeah,
is that really a fit for him?
I don't think so, but I like the idea because you're getting a player who's decent. I feel like a late first rounder to get rid of that contract would be good if we weren't at the beginning of a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
If Calgary was in a different spot in their competitive window, I would seriously think about doing something like this. And I feel like there would be a team out there who would do something like that. Not sure if it's Montreal, but I like the framework of this deal.
Yeah, the concept is good. Yeah, I mean, it's relatively inexpensive, I would say, like for his contract.
Yeah.
Still got another 2 seasons at 3.3.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Huberdeau holds all the cards in that one.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, would I do it? Sure.
Yeah.
Obviously the Huberdeau experiment hasn't gone well here in Calgary for 2 straight seasons, so it's I wouldn't be upset to watch him go. I don't feel the need to aggressively shop him if it's going to cost us.
Yeah.
If we can find somebody that wants him and willing to take it on without it costing us, too much. Like this whole Monahan to Montreal with that first really pisses me off still.
Yeah, me too.
And I just don't want to run into another situation like that.
Yeah. I do like the framework of that deal. If we were in a different spot in our competitive window, I'd say fuck yeah to that or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But I feel like you said kind of maybe first of all, I don't think Huberdeau would be down for Montreal. And second of all, I don't think Calgary's out there shopping Huberdeau. And I don't think they should be because we're not in the business of spending first round picks to get rid of a contract. We should be in the business of taking a bad contract to get another first round pick.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here. Another interesting Markstrom to the Kings one. Alex Turcotte, who's a young center who's again buried underneath Pierre-Luc Dubois for some reason. And Anze Kopitar and Philip Deneau, and there's just no spot for a young center on that team right now. And the 21st overall pick and the 53rd overall pick, I feel like that would be a really fair deal. If that's too much for Markstrom, it would be a really fair deal if you just took out the 53rd overall pick and just Markstrom for Turcotte and the 21st overall pick, we'd probably have to hold some salary on Markstrom, but I would pull the trigger on that ASAP.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely get behind it.
Yeah. And Turcotte's got some pretty decent upside. He just needs the shot. He needs a spot on a roster, and our roster is centerless at this point.
Which is funny because we have like 5 guys that can do it, but
yeah,
there's nobody that does it extremely well.
exactly.
It's just really surprising that he's 23 years old and still is yet to be a full timer.
Turcotte?
Yeah.
Again, I mean, it blows my mind why they got Dubois, but he's buried, man. They've got Pierre-Luc Dubois there. They've got Anze Kopitar there. They've got Philip Deneau there. Like, there's no spot for Alex Turcotte. Which is, again, with a lot of these young players, you got to take that spot. But those are, first of all, you can't send Dubois down because he's got a no move clause. And as for the other two, like, you're not. Those are two of the best two-way centers in the league.
Yeah, you're not exactly. Obviously, he's not going to take the place of Anze Kopitar.
Yeah.
Or even Philip, Deneau. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen. But I mean, could he take the place of Blake Lizotte?
Probably, but
probably not.
Do you want to play? Do you want him playing, fourth line minutes? Who knows, right? Like it's hard to say. And like Dubois was playing on their fourth line last year for quite a while. That's such a mess. You know what? Let's talk about that. No, nobody's put it here. Let's talk about these Dubois to Calgary for Huberdeau rumors. It's just absurd to me. People think this is a good idea.
I'll answer it very quickly. Fucking no.
Yeah. I just want to put this out there right now.
Nothing. I want nothing to do with the player. Nothing.
Exactly.
At all.
Okay.
And his contract is freaking huge.
I think he's got 7 more years at $8.5 million. This is a player who I just want to put it out there. This is a player whose teammates in the past have been outspoken about him being a shitty person. This is a player who has been caught on camera being lazy several times every year. This is a player who constantly gets demoted down the lineup for being lazy. This is a player whose coaches have done, said the same things, whether it's John Tortorella or, whoever else he's had. This is a player who has asked for a trade in, like, what is he, like 23 or 24 years old? He's already asked for a trade from 2 separate organizations. The second something's going wrong for this guy, he wants out. Yeah. Calgary is a team who has had toxic players and toxic coaches, and they have been finally removed. This is a team who has had players over the last couple of years asking to be traded. This is, the odd player has been lazy and been moved. And you know what this team really doesn't need? To start bringing players like that back. Let's not do that. Huberdeau's contract might be terrible. It is terrible, but he tries his fucking ass off most nights. His teammates like him. And
his contract is not great, but neither is Dubois. And you said it correct. like teams will talk about players that are, bad in the room, or not great players. But you're absolutely right. People have talked about him just being a shitty person,
Absolutely.
and
We don't need
no,
that.
I want nothing to do with him at all.
Yeah. All right. Here's a new one. We haven't talked about Rasmus Anderson very much. This is from Carter Miedema. I think I said that right. Anyways, Rasmus Anderson for the 6th overall pick from Utah and Nick Bukestad. Fuck, man. Like, I
I mean,
really like Anderson. I'm not sure if he's worth the 6th overall pick. I would. I love Anderson, and I would still like seriously consider that if that was offered. I'd have to think long and hard about that. What do you think?
I wouldn't have to think long and hard at all. I mean, if you can get the sixth round or sixth overall pick for Anderson, you have to do that.
You think so?
I do.
I think I think Anderson is the type of player who you would be trying to develop because there's so many defensemen in that range. You'd be trying to develop somebody into Anderson. And what is he, 27, 28 maybe right now? I don't think he's too old to be a part of this team when they're good, but I don't know if he wants to stay. He's kind of seems like he's on the fence. He's still signed for another couple of years, so it's hard to know. But if he says he doesn't want to stay, or if he says he's not sure if he wants to resign, I wouldn't think twice about it. That's for sure.
100%.
And I do know that Ryan Smith, the guy who owns Utah, said that they're going to be out there trying to get competitive. I don't know if that means trading their pick, but if they're selling their pick, I would be, if I were Conroy, I'd be out there trying to sell somebody to get that pick. And if it's Anderson, I mean, I love Anderson. He's one of my favorite players on the team, but it would be hard to say no to that.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I'm of the same way. I do like Anderson a lot. He's really faltered in the last year and a half, in my opinion. And I think, yeah, if you can pull that off, I don't see why you would even quibble about it. Like it's got to be done. If you're trying to build for the future, that is absolutely one of the ways to do it.
Yeah. Okay, now Joaquin Rodriguez says trade Markstrom and the 9th overall pick to Utah or Montreal, which means for the 6th or 5th overall pick, and that is strictly to draft TJ Ginla. I don't think
No,
trading our number one goalie is worth 3 spots in the draft, period.
no, not at all.
You could get a first round pick for him. You don't, yeah. You're not getting a top 10 pick, but
I would trade Markstrom straight across for the 15 to 20,
yeah, I would too.
but I'm not doing that. Not at all. Not for 3 points or 3 spots.
Brian White says trade the coach for someone who looks like they give a shit and isn't just there to watch the game.
I mean, I don't think that's the case at all with Huska.
I don't either. I know some people aren't the biggest fan. I can't say I'm the biggest fan, but I also, am fully aware of what he's been given, and I think he's done a fairly decent job with what he's given. He's also a rookie coach, and I think getting rid of him after 1 year is a
I
bad
think
look.
that'd be a huge mistake.
It's a terrible look.
Yeah, he was given a pretty raw deal. Half of his star players. I guess not half, but a number of his star players were traded away mid-season,
Yeah.
and he knew that they were going to be traded away. I mean,
Mhm.
you can't fault the guy for the record. And
Totally agree.
we're not sitting here watching playoff hockey while other teams play it because of Ryan Huska.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Um, there's a couple more here. Kind of want to get into. Let's talk about our buddy Michael Johansson. Johansson. I don't even know how to say his last name. Is it Joe or Yo? Do you know?
It's got to be Yo, right? Got to
Yeah.
be Johansson.
He says
Johansson.
trade everyone and get Stone out of retirement.
Yes,
Yes.
do it.
Yep. Let's do it. Vladar to Toronto for a 6th-round pick from Madison Scott. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know that he's worth much more than that right now.
I don't think he's worth more than that, and I'd probably take that and run. Could you might be able to squeeze a 5th, but if you're getting offered a 6th, like do it, I guess.
Yeah.
I actually would be interested to see because if Boston trades Allmark, I'd be interested to see if they would want him back. Now, I don't think we get the 3rd-rounder that we gave for him back, but they might be willing to give us a 5th. Who knows? But if Vladar to Toronto for a 6th, I wouldn't be upset with that. Honestly, I'd be kind of, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. It's not
Chris
altering
Mayer,
the franchise.
yeah, Chris Mayer says Markstrom 25% retained to New Jersey for Dawson Mercer and their 2nd-round pick, and Mangiapane to Tampa Bay for a 2nd-round pick. First, let's do the Markstrom to New Jersey for Dawson Mercer in a second. I would do that. Dawson Mercer as a relatively high upside young center who can also play wing, but has played lots of center, already been playing 2nd-line center quite a bit in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I would take that.
yep. A young center and a 2nd-round pick for 2 years of Markstrom, aging goalie. I'd do that for sure. Good one, Chris. And Mangiapane to Tampa for a 2nd-round pick. He says this one is way out there. I know. I would pull the trigger on that. I wouldn't even think twice about that. But I feel like you're looking more like a 4th.
If he can swindle a 2nd round for Mangiapane, you fucking do that immediately.
And you don't look back, right?
That's not a situation where you say, well, let me think about it and I'll call you back. No, you go, the paperwork is on its way. Just check your email, check
Yeah.
the junk folder, check the spam, check everything. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah. Honestly, if we're getting a 2nd-round pick for Manju, I'd be checking
It'd
the
be amazing.
calendar to see if it's April 1st.
Right. It's like,
um,
Ashton Kutcher around here might be punked.
right. Um, Ryan Gardner says Nick Robinson from Toronto and Mitch Marner for Markstrom 25% and Rasmus Anderson.
Jesus.
That is a huge blockbuster trade. Honestly, I don't think that the value of that is too far off of being good. Marner has a full no move clause.
Mm-hmm.
He likely wants to win. I cannot see him waiving it for Calgary. I don't even really see him waiving it at all, to be honest. However, I mean, this is targeting something that Calgary needs, which is a high skill player, and it's also targeting two things that Toronto needs, which is a goalie and a defenseman. This trade makes a shitload of sense, except for Marner probably not wanting to um, waive, especially for a team who's kicking off a retool, and also Calgary probably not. Calgary's probably not looking for win now pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So can you say the two players from Toronto again?
Nick Robertson, who's Jason Robertson's brother, he's kind of been a
Oh yeah.
mostly a
Yeah.
fourth liner for them, kind of in and out of the lineup
Mm-hmm.
type of a guy. He's a young player, and I listened to the Steve Dangle podcast, and they've harped on Sheldon Keefe for not playing Robertson enough. He's a young player. He's got a little bit of upside. I wouldn't mind giving him a shot, but I just don't think Marner is what the Flames are looking for. 1 year of high skill, I don't think is what the Flames are looking for. And I don't think he'd want to go to the Flames. Again, there's a lot of these that seem relatively well thought out when it comes to balancing the scales, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This seems like a fairly balanced trade, but it doesn't really show the stage of Calgary's competitive cycle that they're in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've always liked Mitch Marner as a player. I just don't think he's worth 11 million.
I don't either. And he's going to ask for a raise.
Exactly, and he's only got one more year, right? So he's making 10.9 as it is right now. I just don't.
He's very Johnny Gaudreau-y.
Yeah, I mean he's a good
He's a
he's a
great
good
player.
additional piece for sure.
He's a
Like
great first line winger. He's
yeah,
just not an $11 million first line winger.
no, I just for me, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just I would be interested in seeing what Robinson could be. I just don't know that it's at the expense of taking back Marner.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Leafs have uh, have made their bed, and now I just want to watch them crumble
I'm
and live
excited
with
for
it.
that.
I mean, they have $55.5 million in forwards,
Yeah. And
and they don't have a full forward roster at the moment.
yeah. And Brad Treliving's specialty, I don't know if you know this from the past, but his specialty is letting high quality free agents leave for nothing.
Yeah.
So let's watch that happen to Toronto. That should be fun.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's going to be great.
Yeah. Another couple from Madison Scott here. She says, or he says, I don't know. It says Mangiapane buyout. Yes. Or trade to Utah for a 6th round pick. Yes, do it. One of the two, do it. Get fucking rid of him.
I mean, it's worth more than a 6th.
Maybe a 5th.
He's not worth.
Maybe
He's not
4th.
worth more than a 6th to you, but he's absolutely worth more than a 6th round pick.
Maybe. If you hold half, I bet you could get a 4th.
I think in the real world, you could get a 4th without holding any.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like him. I have zero use for him, but
Would you buy
he's
him out?
definitely worth more. He's got 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just want that spot for a young player like
Yeah.
like Peltier or Coronado or someone who shouldn't be a 4th liner. Peltier could be a 4th liner, but
I mean,
And
I would rather trade him. I think Craig could easily find a trade partner for him
yeah,
as long as Craig's not looking to get too much in return. I think he could
hmm
I think he could easily get rid of him.
as long as he's not
And I'd rather
overvaluing them.
yeah. I don't think that that would be the case. I mean, like surely Craig's smart enough to realize he's had one decent season in goals, and that's it. Like the rest of the time, he's been who he is. He's a 20 to 30 point guy making too much money.
Yeah. That's the thing, is the too much money and the falling over. That's the thing that pisses me off.
Mhm.
Two more here. Madison says again, Markstrom to New Jersey for Jake Allen, and a third round pick. I don't think that's anywhere close to fair.
No, I no. We would
We'd need a lot more than that.
Craig would come down 4 notches in the respect category if he
He
did
would,
that.
yeah, at least four. And our buddy Kyle Sutherland, this is the last one here. He says Mangiapane, a first round pick, Vancouver's first round pick, so the 28th overall pick, and Jacob Peltier for Martin Nietzsche.
Jesus.
Um,
I mean, at this point, I'm okay with Peltier going out, and obviously, my thoughts on Mangiapane. Yeah, I don't mind it.
you know what? Like, that's a big deal. I don't mind it either. I think Peltier's got more to give. I think that he's been a little bit overrated by the fan base. I think he'll be a perfectly fine bottom six forward who might be
Mhm.
able to pop up to the second line if they really need him to every once in a while. Um, Martin Nietzsche is a top six forward. Um, he can play center. He can play right wing. He's a perfectly good player. I think he has more to give. I think he has the upside of being a first line player.
Mhm.
Um, I think when you play on a team with Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov and, this year, Jake Gensel and, whoever else, I feel like you're kind of buried a little bit.
Yep.
He has played first line minutes every once in a while and seems to do all right. I think he's a slightly overrated player, but I think that the 28th overall pick, Mangiapane, who's like god awful, and Peltier, who's got relatively limited upside, I don't think that's a terrible trade. I would seriously think about that as long as Nietzsche comes with a long term extension.
Yeah, I feel like that's the caveat right there, right? Um, he's currently I guess July 1. He's a RFA with Arb rights. Not that that really means that much. Yeah, I would definitely want to see a contract in place for that. I do think it's a slight overpay, but
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't be pissed off about it if it happened.
No, me neither. I'd be optimistic. I'm not sure if excited is the right word,
Hmm.
but I'd be optimistic. Now, what I would really like, because I know for some reason everybody's been talking about Nietzsche on this, but Seth Jarvis is also a pending restricted free agent from the same team, and I think that guy's upside is insane. Now he's
Hmm.
strictly a winger, but the guy played with a torn labrum, which is the same thing that knocked Chris Tanev out of the playoffs against the Oilers a couple of years ago. You can see it in your brains. I'm sure if you're a Flames fan, you can see Chris Tanev's shoulder hanging off of his body. And I guess Seth Jarvis has been playing with that all year. And I think he got over 30 goals. I can't remember. Let me look it up here. he is a hell of a player, but to be able to put up that many goals, 33 goals and 34 assists with a fucking torn labrum is pretty insane. Only had 14 penalty minutes. Um, Played a lot of the season on a line with Sebastian Aho. Kind of got moved between the first line and the second line. I know this because he was on my fantasy team for the majority of the year, so I paid a lot of attention to that. But this guy, the sky's the limit with this guy. He also in the playoffs this year seemed like he was playing fairly well.
Well, and
If I
he's
had to pick a
right
restricted,
wing, right?
yeah, right wing. Now, if we had to pick a restricted free agent, and we were giving a package like what Kyle said there, with Mangiapane, the first round pick, and Peltier, I would almost add an asset or improve one of those assets. In fact, I just straight up would and offer it to them for Jarvis instead and see if they do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost want. I think I'd rather have Jarvis personally.
Any day.
In that deal,
Any day.
I think he'd be a good guy to slot in and see what he can do with Huberto. He's clearly got the scoring touch.
Yep. And he plays the right position.
Yep. Yeah. And then who do we put in the middle with those two?
I want to see Zari play center for a while. I mean, the thing is, like, Kadri would probably be okay there, except for the Kadri and Huberto never actually playing well together ever thing. Yeah, I don't know. I'd throw maybe Zari, maybe Sharon Govich because he's not the best on the faceoffs, although he started doing better before he got moved back over to the wing. He started playing a little better at center, but
could you imagine Huberto, Sharon Govich, and Jarvis?
like that's
He
a
would
lot
have
of
two
fucking
targets
goals
to
in
pass to.
theory.
That'd be amazing,
Yeah,
right? I
in theory,
think
that's
that
a
would
ton of
work well.
goals.
Yeah, I like it. Make it happen, Craig.
Make it happen. Again, I don't mind that the Nietzsche trade either. I just think if you're going to go after a restricted free agent from that team, I would go after Jarvis before I'd go after Nietzsche's.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
Do you have anything you want to add, or do you have any players you want to talk about moving or anything like that, Chris? Because that's all of the comments I went through that I wanted to talk about.
I think that's a good place to leave it then. I think Craig's going to have a lot of work ahead of him this summer. He's already obviously accomplished a fair bit through the season, but I think I'm interested to see what happens at the draft. I'm worried and I'm optimistic, if that
So
makes sense.
this is the first draft in a while. This is the first summer in a while. I'm not worried, to be honest. I, for the first time in a long time, I know I've said this on the podcast a couple times, but I'm not worried. I feel like Craig has done a good enough job so far with the absolute explosion of a mess that he was given, that I trust him.
Yeah, I do trust him. I am worried about. I mean, I don't think Iginla's actually going to be available still at 9. The way
I
he's
don't
kind
either.
of upped his stock in the last month of the season and beyond. So
Do you think he's going to overpay to move up?
I mean, I don't know. It's that name, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
all know Conroy loves himself in Iginla, and and we've got an Iginla in the up in the office doing God knows what, advising. Not sure what he's exactly advising, but that's it is what it is. I mean, it worries me, right? I just hope that he doesn't throw shit away just to target the one player.
You know what
I feel like the players that are going to be available in that spot, I think are going to be just fine.
I agree, and especially with guys like Caden Lindstrom, who's probably also not going to be available there, but is dropping in the draft, and Berkeley Catton, who has dropped to about that area in the draft. And with all the good defensemen in the draft, like I just don't see a reason to do it. Like I know the name, right? The Iginla name is huge in Calgary and is great, and it would be such a great story if he falls, or if you can trade like the 9th overall pick and like a 3rd or 4th round pick and get it, then do it. But if you're trading 2 first round picks, don't do it. You know, if you're trading, you know, maybe you could see if somebody wants to do fucking Mangiapane in the 9th overall pick. I'd fucking do that all day long to move up and get him. But it's not.
You're just working every angle possible to get rid of Mangiapane. This is great.
I love him. We should keep him.
If there's any way, like if you do a first and a third to move up, maybe throw in a Mangiapane.
Yeah.
He can bring you your coffee, whatever. He's got to have a use.
I'll pack his bags.
As if you haven't packed his bags already. Nice try.
I threw him out the front door of his house like a year and a half ago, and they're still sitting there.
You didn't throw him. You didn't throw him out. He just fell over.
He fell over them on the way in and then on the way out, and he does every day.
You've ordered him an Uber 17 times in the last 2 weeks. He just won't get in it.
Yeah. That's a good place to leave it off. Yeah, if we can move up and it doesn't cost us lots, sure, but if it costs us 2 first round picks or a first and a second, it's too much in my opinion.
Yeah. Agreed.
Plus there's good players in the draft. There's going to be a good forward available if that's what you want. There's going to be a really good defenseman available if that's what you want. Just don't throw too much away.
Yeah. If you can find a way to do that 9-10 combo, then you've got an option. You can grab a defenseman and a forward, and I think be successful.
Yeah, apparently that Beckett Seneke, I think is how you say his name, guy has really impressed over the last little while, and people are saying he has the best puck skills in the draft aside from Celebrini. You know, he's gone from about 20 to about 10, like 20th overall to 10th overall in the last couple weeks. So maybe he's worth it, see who's there.
I mean, I'm always wary of a player that can jump up that much in a draft order in a month even.
Well, Iginla did that.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Like I'm you know me, I like longevity. I'd rather see somebody steady that's been in a position for a while opposed to, I call that flash in the pan, right?
Would you rather take a stab on a guy who went from 20th to 10th like Seneke, or would you rather have a guy who went from 2nd to 9th like Catton?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
That's the thing, that whole area, that whole, like you said, the whole like 15th to 2nd area is a fucking shit show.
It is. It's a shit show, and that's one of the issues that I have with looking at rankings, right?
Yeah.
You got 25 different guys that have 25 different lists, and they're not even close. Like the top 20 are generally the same names, but they are not in the same order at all.
No.
So it's so hard to judge. I mean, that's why these guys get paid, to do the actual draft, because if you read everything that's out there, I mean, yeah, a player could be second or 13th from day to day. Like,
Like
it's
for
asinine.
instance, I was looking at there was probably like 5 or 6 different finalized lists that I looked at
Yeah,
from like Jason Bukala and Bob McKenzie and uh, Corey Pronman and a bunch of people who like know their prospects. And I saw Iginla at 5. I saw Iginla at 14. I saw Catton at 2. I saw
yeah,
Catton at 9. I
yeah,
saw Catton at 11, actually, now that I think of it. I saw Lidstrom at 2. I saw Lidstrom at 9.
yeah. I've seen a couple with Lindstrom at 9, and that makes no sense to me. I
If
don't I
Lidstrom's
don't
available
think
at
he's
9,
going to be around after the fifth pick
I doubt
myself.
he's
But
going to be available after the 3rd pick.
yeah,
I've seen Demidov, who's like, if he wasn't Russian, he would be 2nd overall. But
yeah,
people are scared of him being able to come over and play.
that's
And
fair.
I've seen him as far as 11. If
Hmm.
he's available, I'd fucking take him instantly. Um.
Yeah,
Anyways, that's
yep,
enough draft talk for now.
yep. All right. So smash that like button. Share the show with your friends. Give us a follow on X at ArmChair GM_pod. Find us on Facebook. Even follow Flames Hub. Dylan and I are in there quite a bit. We're both a couple of the admins. I think we've got like 37 admins there now. It's great. You can give Dylan some shit if you like on Reddit. And other than that, leave your comment below and tell us what your mock trade is, or what you think the Flames should do this off season to better ourselves for the future.
And thank you for putting your hot takes for Peter's Drive-In and all of the mock trades that you commented in on Facebook and Reddit and
Yeah,
X. So appreciate it, and thank you.
yeah. I'll try to make it there so I can give a review at a later date. Maybe at the draft show or something like that. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, everybody. It's going to be a great summer. Let's go Dallas. I mean, let's go Flames. Cheers.